Hello and welcome back to Star Wars in a Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And today we are making our triumphant return. We've been gone for, I think, 2-3 weeks now. It's hard to tell. Time is crazy. But we are back with a great panel of guests to talk about the thing right behind me, which is Star Wars, the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett turns 1 year old in just over a week. And I had this idea a few months ago just because I noticed that certain shows were getting a lot of love, but this one wasn't. And I wanted to show some love to this show, which brought us so many incredible and just interesting and thought-provoking moments. And I assembled some people who I thought could do the Book of Boba Fett justice in celebrating it and its many achievements over its 7 episodes, which is crazy to say for me because it doesn't feel like 7 episodes because so much jam-packed happened. But Jacob, do you have anything else, or should we get some guests on?
Oh, we have assembled a dream team. We're going to show some love to the Book of Boba Fett. What better way to do that than bring a bunch of people together and talk about our favorite moments?
Absolutely. Okay, so first up, let's bring in. So we have guests from 2 different Star Wars podcasts we're friends of, and the first one we're gonna bring in our friends from Skywalking Through the League, Bill Sheehy, Trey Mitchell, and Jessica Schloth. What's going on, everybody?
Hello, friends. Good to see y'all. I love that you said triumphant return, and you've only been gone for like 2 weeks because Trey and I haven't recorded in like 3 months, and it's like, oh yeah, we've been gone for.
To be fair, like we haven't posted anything for like a few weeks, but like we've gone without recording for even longer because I think we did like a bunch of like backlog recording. So.
I got you. Well, I'm happy to be here with such wonderful friends and Alden Diaz as well. So
yeah, I know. It's somehow he's here as well. I don't know.
I'm just worried because if we bring up Chrysanthemum, I don't know how people are going to react.
He's going to be brought up, and I want to make sure this is a safe space for people, and that's all I'm going to say about that. We already alluded to our other guests from Octo Radio. Tori Fox and Alden Diaz are here. There they are. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to our stream. I think this has been like a few months in the making.
You messaged us roughly in February about recording this.
I messaged people very early about stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think it was before Andor started. Like, I'm not kidding about that.
It's, we
Trey and I, you're muted.
I'm pretty sure that you came out of the womb and booked me for this.
You did.
Sounds
hey,
about
we
right.
love planning. We love it.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. No, I plan too much. It's sometimes concerning. I will say that somebody messaged me about some plan they were doing for something like a few days ago that's happening in February or something. I'm like, that's a really long time to plan out something. I'm like, wait, you've done it.
No, that's
you
what
planned
literally just
I'm like, you planned stuff way further out than that. You
Yeah,
planned stuff way further out than that.
It's all good.
And we got our regular buttermilk drinking friend here. There he is. There's Jared.
Corn loving ass.
Disgusting.
Jared, you were a culinary pioneer.
Don't
that's
dignify
one way
it.
to
Let that be
It's
interpreted
really weird
as it will
because
be.
I went to Pittsburgh and met Jared about a month ago, and that's the first thing he
My
offered me when I
condolences.
walked in the door. It was just
That-
a big tall glass of buttermilk.
That is the most
It was
Jared move
really
ever
wow.
seen.
Buttermilk
There
and a
he is.
Roosevelt.
There's
Because it's
the
all he
cheeky-
has.
Look, everybody, we have now gone from. I'm trying to think how many eyes we have now because we have the 8 eyes on the top row. And we have this
Mike
one eye
Wazowski.
here.
There.
Mike Wazowski.
Be nice to Connor.
Chiquita man, and what's going on, Brennan?
Mike Wazowski.
It's so
Ask
great
him
to
about his
see.
Hinge profile.
It's so great to see everybody here. And so what we asked our guests to do is we asked them to bring their favorite moment from the Book of Boba Fett, as well as backup, because there's only 7 episodes. We might run into some duplicates. But I think we should just go around. What's going on, Goose? Thanks for joining us today. Let's see. Jess, do you want to go first? I'm just going down the line, like starting with
Me? Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm not very good at like explaining my thought process here, but I guess my favorite moment was like the sequences that led up to Grogu joining Mandalorian back with his little Beskar vest shirt. That's probably for me, like him having to choose like the conversation with Luke, and then also the scene of like melting down his spear and being like, what's gonna happen next? Probably.
I see we're already jumping into like the
But
this
that
is
chain of
episode 6 and
events.
7.
So I guess I'm
it's-
choosing many moments, but I'm grouping it as one.
So many great moments to choose from, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So many.
And
So
and
many.
I think that's a great point to start. And it's crazy to me in like when I thought when I thought of the Book of Boba Fett in my mind, I never thought, oh yeah, we're gonna see Grogu making a choice between Luke or the Mandalorian. That's what's gonna happen in this show.
Yeah. it's the
And
first
then
thought.
it did. And it's I don't know, and any other like I just think I think that one's like just the most crazy thing.
Mhm.
Like all those sequence of events is just like it makes sense for the story, but it is
His little shirt.
yeah.
His little
His-
mithril shirt. It's
his
beautiful. Little hobbit
His-
shirt.
his little Beskar vest, which I've heard a lot of people. Actually, I think Alden, I think you and I have talked about this. A lot of people think that this means that Grogu is going to get shot sometime in the future.
Oh, there will absolutely
God.
be. There will absolutely look. You gave him an indestructible shirt and the ability to leap like Yoda in the same episode. He's gonna jump in front of his dad at some point.
Oh,
if
why would
anybody,
you can't do that.
if
I know
there are
you-
look,
You're right.
there are two things that are gonna
He's not
happen.
alive, but he's right.
There are two things that are gonna happen at some point in this thing. Chekhov's gun. You gave him jumping ability that he does not use in the finale. So like he's gonna be jumping around in Mando season 3. I'm sure he's not gonna be in the pram the whole time. And he has an indestructible shirt. He's gonna because his dad already jumped in front of a bullet for him. When Gideon tries to pop off in season 2. So that's payoff. Second thing that's going to happen at some point, whether it's the mods on their bikes, who we will talk about, or Mandalorians or whomever, these are 80s kids making this show. At some point, there's going to be an ET bike homage, and Grogu's going to make speeder bikes fly. At some point.
I'm
Guarantee.
Now that I'm thinking about
Guarantee.
it, like if
Nice.
I think with the Beskar suit, they might do like a kind of a Lord of the like Frodo in Lord of the Rings where he gets stabbed by that big troll like thing where like
Yeah.
what if, like it's like the Darksaber or something like that, and like Grogu gets stabbed by the Darksaber at some point. Like
Mhm.
That'd be brutal.
Beskar would resist
listen,
it.
if you're going for like the most brutal form and like you want people to like be afraid that you just killed Grogu, you can shoot him or like you can put the Darksaber in him. Like that's which
It's a good point because
but like
because I think the only time we know specifically, like we've seen in any of the Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, that I'm just thinking from like a casual fan who might not like know like that Beskar, like everything about Beskar just from but just from the live action shows. I think the only time we see a lightsaber reflecting off of Beskar is with the first Ahsoka episode.
Well, unless we get the Darksaber versus the spear.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
yeah.
I'm assuming the casuals will have at least,
Yeah.
and I don't say casuals in a derogatory way. I mean,
No,
a lot of people
I don't either.
A lot of
Just-
people watch it just because it's their first thing, but
Yeah.
I think they're putting together the language sort of visually that it is not the same as other metal and things like that.
I was just thinking like in terms of it being a surprise, like that.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a shock. Like it's gonna have to. It's gonna have to be written in a way that makes you forget that he has it on. Like I don't think they're gonna draw attention to the vest much throughout the season. That way, it just fakes you out.
I'm just afraid of the possibility of the internet in season 3 gaining access to an exploitable clip video of Grogu getting shot or stabbed by a lightsaber. I think that would just cause the internet to melt down. The Star Wars internet, at least, to just.
I'm
No,
just
what
makes
concerned
you
about
think-
the internet, period. So like
I'm
I
just-
totally get it.
I
Totally get
I'm
it.
afraid of the possibility is there. I'm very.
I feel like we've been
We'll
melting
see.
down for a long, long time. I think this would just be another step in that direction. I don't know.
I encourage it.
Good chaos. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
No, I think it'll be an interesting day, absolutely, in the community when like anything really, really significant happens to Grogu. Because he's been in a lot of threatened violence situations, but he's never gotten that incredibly injured.
He's had fantastic luck.
Yeah. He
I mean,
really
he was at, like, there were 3 Jedi that died, but like between him and getting shot. Like Grogu's been in Order 66. Grogu was physically present while Reva was being stabbed in the other room. Like this is all at the same time. Like Grogu's been through bananas situations. Can we swear on this channel?
Yes.
Okay, thank goodness.
I was gonna say,
first of all,
just as Connor does this, just Connor does this, and
You
we make
ask
this man a
if
mod.
they can curse, and then you say thank goodness, and then fuck within like a tooth. Love it. No notes. Thank you.
Yep. Connor's thinking explosion.
Oh, go blew the fuck up. That is a reference. We should explain. That's the phrasing blowed or blew the fuck up is a reference to Jared talking about Lola, Leia's droid. Because in Princess and the Scoundrel, Leia reflects after Han proposes to her about things she lost on Alderaan, and she says, "My childhood droid, Lola," and so thus implying that Lola was on planet when the Death Star popped off.
That's my favorite thing. Beth Revis had to specifically have pre-release episodes from from Kenobi just in order to cause that much more pain. That's what she did in that case.
Yep.
Which is freaking brutal, but it happens sometimes. And I think there's a lot of interesting stuff with Grogu and the choice. I guess here's a question I'll ask everybody. I know this is brought up a lot. What do you think of Luke offering Grogu the choice? Because I hear I hear a lot of different opinions about that.
So if I can go, I kind of think this moment shows me that Luke has not learned the lessons of the Jedi even a little bit, because he's giving him the choice between his family and being a Jedi when family is what saved Darth Vader in the end. I want to see the best in Luke Skywalker. I want to assume that okay, he's truly learned the lessons of the Jedi, but he's just doing the same old shit.
I have a question though. What shirt are you wearing?
The Last Jedi.
Yeah. He can't learn those lessons, buddy. He can't. And I'm not saying you're wrong. You are right that he is making suboptimal decisions. He's wrong. Mm-hmm. But his only frame of reference are Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, 2 guys that were not the best at bringing up the young people.
I love that Bill and I just accidentally coordinated Last Jedi is in both of our little frames here. I have the.
We had to do it. We had to do it.
Which side?
That's why you guys
are here, and then Bill has the shirt. It's great. It's great.
I have Last coordination. I have shirtless Kylo Ren.
It's the worst Star Wars movie, but yeah.
Wait, what's the worst Star Wars
Last
movie?
Jedi. It ruined Star Wars, man.
Oh yeah.
I can't do it.
Careful now. There's. But what was I gonna say about the choice? I always associate a lot of what we see of Luke, especially in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, with that line from The Last Jedi. Because I was Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master, a legend. I feel like Luke's a lot right now buying into his own hype. I think he still kind of believes he's one of the greatest people in the galaxy. And I think that he kind of forgets who he is as a person sometimes, which is a really interesting place to be, especially right now with Luke, because we're far enough out from Return of the Jedi that he can he remembers what happens. Those memories are never going to leave him, but it's not like they happened yesterday. It's not like he's oh, yesterday I just, redeemed my father. It's, oh yeah, I did that a few years ago, and then, we won the war, and this happened, and blah, blah, blah. And stuff's happened in between that, just enough for him to like mildly forget.
It's also
about
important to note that from Luke's point of view, when you consider everything, like one, it kind of had to happen if you're going to do Lone Wolf and Cub, which is like that's part of it is Samurai. I'm not going to explain the entire Lone Wolf and Cub. You should just watch it or read it. But like he gives him a ball and he gives him a sword, and you have to choose, and that was a huge inspiration for the Mandalorian, obviously. But the other thing is that Luke already trained a Padawan. He trained Leia, and why did she walk? Personal reasons, and so it's like he's already tried to do it family style. He's tried to do it traditional style. He's trying to piecemeal together something that he wasn't present to actually see. And he's wrong to say that you need to choose between family and the Jedi, but he's still wrong and with forward momentum because the prequel Jedi didn't give you a choice at all.
Yeah.
So you can be wrong and better, but still not.
Then that's like, I hate to get political, but that's like being Liz Cheney. Like it's.
You're right. You're right. I mean, and shockingly, Star Wars is political.
Who knew?
Who knew?
I think they just made a show about that.
True.
But
they made a show. I was about to I was about to become Michael McCoy in here and go. They made a show about Cassian Andor.
They did.
But
I agree. I think I don't think it's ill-intentioned, but when I watched it, I was like, this feels so manipulative to do it to a little baby and be like, hey, you see this cool thing?
Yeah, he like waves it in front
And
of
then
him.
he's like, you see this cool little
This is $200 at Galaxy's Edge.
and it's like that he turns it on too.
I know!
With the blade.
It's probably not ill-intentioned, but it
Do you
felt
know how long I had to
was
wait?
like, I am not good with Luke right now. Like, we're not friends right now.
you know how long I had to wait at Savvy's to get that for an appointment? Like I paid good money for this.
You weren't even
Nice.
born when that lightsaber debuted in
That's
cinemas.
true. Is that true? Oh, please.
Yeah,
tell me
2002,
that's
right?
true.
Because Eli was born in 03 and Attack of the Clones.
You're
was 02.
shitting me.
The saber's older.
You
than
are
me.
shitting me.
That lightsaber is older.
You
than
were
the
born
host
in
of this
2000.
show.
Wait.
Eli,
Actually,
give them the
so wait,
stat. Give them the stat.
Actually, this lightsaber is not older than one person on the screen. It's older than two of them.
God damn it.
Not you two. How old are you? You're tall.
You guys are mad.
I'm
about
also-
it.
Jacob's a few months older than me. Jacob's a few months older.
I'm
than
also
me.
I'm also an 03 baby. We're
Christ.
youngsters. It's
Oh,
true.
3? You.
We don't deny it.
Eli, tell them what came out the day you were born.
He keeps wanting to bring this up. It's Star Wars Clone Wars 9. The Gendy Tartakovsky
an
not
episode
clones.
of the 2D Clone Wars was released the day Eli came into this world.
It's the one. It's the
If in
one,
case
I
you
forget
didn't
which
feel
one it
old
was.
What's the
already.
day?
Okay, this is gonna sound really like just insensitive. Raise your hand if you
Great way
remember
to start it.
9/11.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what did you say?
Remember? No.
Raise your hand if you remember 9/11.
Oh,
I have like a phantom memory. I don't know.
We
if
were
that's
3.
real. Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
that-
that's
it's
wild.
vague.
to me.
Yeah.
That's
I was in
My mom's
kindergarten.
folding laundry. That's
wild.
all I
Anyway,
remember.
keep going. Sorry.
And apparently, we're making everybody in the chat feel old. Let me explain to this often happens in spite of me, not because of me. But
Well,
here we are.
perspective is important.
Perspective is important, and that's why we had this is a
We are-
running joke.
We are
on our
19 minutes into the stream and 9/11 was already brought up.
show. I was gonna say, I
Unironically.
did not
Gotta be
expect
some
that
kind of a
tonight,
record.
but
That's
whatever.
got to be a record.
That's gotta be yeah. I was gonna say that's one of the reasons why our last guest on the show was Kerwin and Keith, so Jacob and I could actually feel older than someone.
Yeah, Kerwin. Wait, no, Keith. Keith is like closer to your age. Wait,
Yeah.
oh Jesus Christ.
Well, actually,
I
no.
think Keith is closer. No, we're
No, because
Keith
I think
turns-
closer to most of you guys. I assume.
Keith is
we're closer to
you
Connor.
guys.
We're closer to Connor. I know that. And
Okay.
Scott.
Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway,
that's
but
really-
it,
Boba Fett.
Look,
yeah, but yeah. Anything else about the choice or the Beskar vest or the delivering of Grogu back to The Mandalorian, or should we go on to?
I mean, I have
think-
Grogu thoughts, but we can like save them. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know if you wanted to like up to you. I mean, it's your ship. Like, you want to do moment and we talk about it like we just did, or do you want to get through these moments and then talk about everything?
I was thinking we would do like the moment and talk about it, and the moment. and talk
Okay,
about
so
it.
if I have Grogu thoughts, I should say them now.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
You should. Yeah.
I think Grogu has an underrated and really beautiful arc that is done entirely without dialogue, from the get all the way to the Rancor, and it's so George that I would be shocked if he wasn't consulted in some way. I mean, like, we know George named Axe Woves, so it's like he has contributed something to the Mando side of things. Like, he's thrown a name, he's thrown a note, but like when you meet this kid, it's at the cliffhanger of that episode. By the end of the next one, he acts strictly out of defense to lift the Mudhorn. That's instinctive. You know, he's repressed all this, as we find out later. And then the other time he acts instinctive is when he chokes a conservative on screen, and immediately, you know, in defense of his father. And so he's completely a being of instinct until the finale of Mando season 1, when he's no longer a being of instinct and he makes an active choice and he stands and he blocks the flames. And that's a choice because he's already down. Like, that takes, okay, now it's thought process, and you can tell it's starting to come back. And then he trains with Luke for an ambiguous amount of time, a couple weeks, a month, who knows, but it's enough time for Luke to give him perspective. You know, he goes from eating the frog lady's eggs, controversial as it may be, to the next episode learning about the miracle of life. And so he gains that perspective. And then when he goes to train with Luke, he tries to eat a frog, and Luke shows him, like, the frog has a community too. And it puts perspective into this baby who we already know has some Jedi training. Luke is able to help him process his trauma. And by the time he gets to the Rancor, he synthesizes everything that I've just said into I'm a baby, he's a baby, sometimes I need a nap, and so does he. And it's entirely non-violent for the most violent creature in the original trilogy, to just go to sleep, to just stop. And he doesn't need a lightsaber to do that. And he turned down an actual sword to come back and stop a dragon from destroying the castle, very like mythically and classically. And they're able to do that with nothing but a puppet and music and the little Ludwig egg theme that plays,
It's
know,
just
with the
power of
like,
cinema, man.
it's that clip of George when he's watching Buster Keaton and he goes, "How?" Like, it's that, like, it just builds and it just plays. And it's like, you can, you know, I can explain this to like a normie or whatever, or to, you know, an angry Twitter person, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's a reach." And it's like, it's not a reach. It's not subtext. It's text. It's just
what's
you know,
there.
it's just what's there.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing about Grogu. I think he's great, and I think he's a better Jedi than most people because he does count. He's a Jedi. He's the first Jedi Mandalorian since Tar Vizsla, canonically. Cool. He is both. He has a clan signet. He's a foundling, and he was from the Coruscant Temple. He is the mythical thematic successor to the OG.
I'm now thinking about, like, I don't think so. Was Tar mentioned in Return of the Mandalorian, or was he not? I'm trying to remember.
No,
because it feels
last
like
time
a place
Tar
he
was
would be.
mentioned was in Forces of Destiny with Sabine and her brother.
Okay.
There's a big ass statue of him.
I was going to say, because it seems like at some point I would be like, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be delighted, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hear his name in season 3 because of the Mandalorian Jedi idea.
I think that's coming. And now that now Alden's talking, and now I'm like, wait, is Grogu just Mandalore? Is that what this is leading to?
Man.
I think that's the thing. I'm like with Boba Fett, like with Din Djarin and Boba Fett, Grogu, Bo-Katan, and the armor, like that's what the Mandalorian means.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's referring to all of them. It's it's for Boba Fett's part, like he's a guy who exists sort of only in betweens, you know, like he's literally he's a copy of somebody, and so he has to for Din to be like an offshoot of a religion, Boba is an offshoot of a person. So like, of course, these guys get each other in a certain way.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Any other thoughts about Grogu or any of that storyline, or should we get to one of Trey's favorite moments from?
I mean, I think we can go in both. I love that we get like a Rocky training montage with Grogu. I think it's really fun, and Luke just like doing backflips. It's a very fun part of it. But yeah, I think the choice between going back to Din and taking the lightsaber and becoming a Jedi, it feels like a little bit video gamey to me. Like you have like choice A and choice B, and it's like a butterfly effect game where your rest of the game is dictated by that one choice. But I also really don't want Grogu to like probably be slaughtered by Ben Solo. So I'm cool with him going back to Din in that choice because I mean, there's some time in between the sequels and the show, but it would kind of suck if he just was a casualty of that stuff.
You don't think you would have recruited him?
Oh my god, if Grogu's a knight
Evil
of Ren,
Grogu.
Grogu is a Knight of Ren. Oh my god.
That's a storyline that neither Ryan or JJ, people hate one, they hate the other, they love them all, whatever. Neither of those guys ever, and no one, not a single comic book writer, not a single novelist has ever to this point answered the question, which students left with Ben, because we know the knights are not the students. He says,
yeah, that's true.
That is a thread that has lingered now for
a dozen
3
students
years.
left with him. Yeah.
Well, he had a dozen, and he took half.
And
he took half, right?
And that's
From Luke's point of view, he took half.
The thing is, but like, canon has like the Knights of Ren as like they were
been
their
around.
own entity before,
they're in the Imperial era. They're before Ben was born.
So like
Ben just took over.
He did. That's why it's that whole Knights of Ren thing. Like, it's really confusing to me. Like, it's always been really confusing. It just gets more confusing.
We'll talk off air.
Yeah, true. Okay,
we'll iron it out.
Big herd. Big herd.
But yeah, kind of just wrapping up some of the things I liked in this show. Honestly, a lot of it has to do with Din in the episodes that he is in. I know this show is the Book of Boba Fett, but the things that worked extremely well for me in the show were the things with Din, the things with Luke and Ahsoka. I went back and I watched the scene where Din gets his new ship. He gets his new N1 Starfighter, and it's him testing that ship out. It's just some of the best Star Wars in recent memory to me. Like him flying it through Beggar's Canyon. We see like, I think a lot of us grew up watching the prequels. I know Eli wasn't thinking until like 2008, but seeing that ship
and empty until the Dark Knight, like
he wasn't conscious. But seeing that ship fly through that canyon was just magical. And then seeing, he like goes into space and we get that standoff with the X-wings, and it's just great stuff. And then the following episode with Ahsoka and Luke, I was a big fan of how they handled Luke. I know there's been a lot of conversation about Luke sort of being a deep fake, but I thought this worked really well in this show. The only thing, his voice, there were lines that didn't work as well, but there were lines that did. It was just like, I don't think that technology is totally there yet. But overall, like just having Luke and Ahsoka meet was something that I didn't know if I would ever see, and that's just Ahsoka just saying, "You're so much like your father." I'm like, oh man, this is making me feel things. And so I would just say those 2 episodes are my favorite, but there's more to be talked about with Boba Fett as a character. There's some things I liked, like I liked the Tusken Raider arc. I thought that was really good, and I thought him riding a Rancor was cool. So that was kind of what I would say was my favorites. Was mainly just, or not mainly, but the highlights were the things with Din.
So you hate Boba Fett as well?
Yeah,
I do hate him, man. He's
that's
the worst.
Got it.
I was gonna say about the Din stuff. I just remember, and I know, I feel like it's one of those things that I probably reacted to in the moment. But then I saw everybody else's reaction, and I got like excited for them. But I will always have fond memories associated with like Din touching down in Pelly's garage, and she's like, "How did it go?" And he goes, "Wizard."
Yeah, that's great.
And it's just like there was no
Validating,
Bryce
just, like,
Bryce
on a middle
directed that
level.
one, right?
Mhm.
Bryce
Yep.
Dallas Howard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She's a god.
Yeah.
she's I really thought for because she is a bit more like of a known quantity than a lot of the directors they brought on, not like dissing any of the other directors, but like I thought she was going to be gone after season 1, and when she came back for season 2 I was excited, and when she came back for Book I was even more excited, and her episodes I feel like has gotten better every time.
And she's back again. She's on.
And she's
season
back
3.
for season 3 now, and
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, I remember also like we got to see some of like the routes they took for the Boon to Eve classic in the Phantom Menace, in the Book of Boba Fett again, which is I
Mhm.
think the first time we've seen them, and
My
yeah,
Wait, was that
Um,
sarcasm?
I don't even know.
favorite. Yes.
That the Phantom Menace is your favorite was sarcastic?
Yeah.
Scotty's gonna come for you.
I was gonna say where's the
Don't say
podcast?
comfort. What are you
I was like,
talking
no.
about?
The mic is right here. We can still hear.
I don't think it's a Bombad night, so I think we
It's not-
we could see them any moment is what I'm
Could be.
saying.
He could be
Scotty's gonna
watching.
walk in right through that door with a lightsaber, with dark saber.
Yeah.
Just
What did you
screaming.
say?
It's gonna be the Vader hallway. Lights shut off in their room. It's a red blade.
Yeah.
I need to edit Scotty's face on the Vader in that scene.
Oh dear God! No, now I you know what? You know what's gonna happen then after that is this.
Jeremy, Hillary, Boop, PhD. Wow, there's so much happening here. I was banned by Nightbot.
We're Nightbot's gonna come for
Eli,
all of us.
Eli, play that video that you played before we started about with Scotty.
I'm.
Is it the one that I gave you of the?
How many videos does this man have? He's like
Jesus
scrolling.
Christ.
He's like looking through his archive of
I-
Scotty
I-
videos.
I think I'll do one more clip, and I think this is just a good reminder, and this is actually a character to tie it in that I'd love to see in future seasons of The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, or just a species generally. Bring us more Ovisians so that we can successfully
Win the war.
Win the war.
Yeah.
Dude, guys.
Rest in peace, King.
Yeah.
I have to
Beautiful.
say, all I can think of ever since you talking about Scotty being Darth Vader is like the breathing noises, but it's not the breathing noises. It's that weird video that he used to post all the time of him doing that weird like tongue slurpy thing. That's the noise.
I don't even know what that's
It's
from.
dark,
Like,
and that's the noise.
The like.
We need a Scotty sound effects soundboard that we can just
that
play.
is
Scotty
absolutely
That's a
what
good
we
idea.
need.
We'll make a
That's
Google
what I-
Drive. Let's make a
We are
Google
go-
Drive later tonight, and everybody
We're going
send what you have.
StreamYard. We are going to push StreamYard to its limits. Is what we're going to
Get
do.
banned.
For it.
We're gonna get banned for indecency.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of stuff I know. Actually, I forgot that we had these, but let's put one of these images up of Din Djarin right there.
So
With the
you're
Darksaber.
gonna kill Trey. You're gonna kill Trey.
Wow, that's an impressive saber. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
High definition.
Can we talk about like since we're just like ruminating on
pixels.
Din? I guess we're
Good.
coincidentally or not, we're just getting all the other stuff out of the way, and then we're gonna talk about Boba Fett. Is what it feels like.
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett will be the main course of his own stream, but the musical cue of the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, right when Fennec
my
is
God.
like when Fennec and Boba are like we need reinforcements or whatever at the end of episode 4, and that music cue hits. Woo!
That was on my
Yeah,
Spotify Wrapped as one of my most streamed songs of the year. And I'm like,
that
what
doesn't
the hell?
honestly. Yeah, no,
Well, there's
I
a
remember
they,
specifically.
I don't
That's
think it's on
commitment.
the. I don't know if it's on the full score. Star Wars does that annoying thing. I love you, Star Wars. It's annoying. Where they will do cool score motifs and mixes, and then they don't come out till way later. Like the complete solo score didn't hit till like COVID, like 2020. I think we got it, and then like
Rebels.
we still don't have the complete Rise score. We still don't have 2 seasons of Rebels. There is a mixture of Boba's theme and Din's that plays in episode 5 that is so gorgeous, and it's not available anywhere except for fan edits. And it pisses me off. And I will just say, I'll throw it out there now, Boba Fett's theme is a god tier Star Wars track of any of the composers.
Boba Fett's theme, I think, is my favorite Star Wars piece not written by John Williams. I think maybe I love that piece, and it's and I will shout out the last episode when they put the Boba Fett in it. That gave it a whole new level.
I laughed, but I also loved it.
Dude,
I laughed in a good way. I laughed at the audacity.
So well.
Like it was.
They're just like, yeah, we're just gonna say his name, and it's
We had to do it just once.
It was the guts
one
on
time.
Yeah, but I remember it reminds me of one of my favorite memes about Return of the Jedi with Mandalorian. I'm just imagining Boba like, we need another ally, and Fennec's like, who would that be? And Boba's like, can't you hear his theme music? He's coming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The theme music. Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I love how they cued that in with that. Yeah. Actually, we have. See, is this gonna be? There's Grogu. There's Grogu.
Look at him. Look at
So
him. He's
salty.
beautiful. He's beautiful.
I was gonna say, I think this is what we were talking about earlier with the Rancor.
My sweet prince.
Yeah. Anyone else got stuff about Din and the journey he goes on with? I mean, we haven't even touched on the stuff with Paz, the stuff with
Or Boba Fett. Like
yeah, or Boba. I have plenty of stuff with.
We're getting there. We're getting
there.
circling before we go in.
Anything that I have
This is-
interesting to say about Din is because of Boba Fett, so
Yeah.
we'll get to it later. But
this is like George R.R. Martin levels of like getting to it. Like
Okay,
we're like
you're right.
beating
it's
around
like
the bush.
J.R.R. Tolkien describing a tree.
Yeah.
Like Fellowship of the Ring. So Trey's favorite moment was Starfighter and Rancor.
Yeah.
If I can get into my
Starfighter and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
favorite
Oh yeah, that meeting.
moments into it, I have two, and I know that's kind of cheating, but like one is
You
like
cheated.
kind of a fun point, and then the other one is like, why the show works for me. So I don't think I've been more aroused than when Cobb Vanth said, "Think it through" the first time. There it is. There it is. So like that.
I have to leave immediately.
Like I can't. I can't.
To go right now.
It's we're just doing the torso of Bill right now because anyway.
You're right, and you should say it.
Thank you. I'm speaking my truth. So I say that because I love Cobb Vanth.
Look, I'll just say this. As of right now, I identify as straight, but nothing has made me question that more than Timothy Oliphant.
No,
So
I concur. Cobb Vanth is a very attractive gentleman.
I flipped the
Listen.
when, at the beginning of
Not
Desert Comes a
vulgar.
Stranger. I'm like, there are like 6 people we could like start with right now, and then we started with Cobb Vanth. I'm like, oh, they're
I
just
think he
him
has
back.
that line where he's like, I can't remember the verbiage, but it's like, next person that gets lost in Mos Pelgo will be lost forever. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's a man. Oh my
Man. And he said, "I'm the one that tells folks what to do."
What to do?
yes,
yeah.
you are.
Ooh.
Oh my
Whoa.
god. Yes, you
And then
are.
Tori literally went and got a tattoo on her body forever.
The whip, I did.
Commemorating.
The whiplash from that episode, though, of just his appearances in general, showing up, and then
I was honestly wondering if we were ever going to see Cobb after the Marshal. And I did not think they were going to bring him back so soon. So just the fact that
You
we
don't
had-
just slob
great.
on that Cobb like after 2 episodes.
okay, okay,
Like that is
okay.
that's a 3 episode.
While we're on the subject of scores, since it's been mentioned, this is not Boba Fett related at all. Well, it kind of is. I think it pops up a little bit. The Marshall's Tale, favorite Star Wars score ever. Can't beat it.
I think
So
I
good.
think I love that, and I love especially the way it plays into the flashback. That whole flashback sequence I think is incredibly well done.
So good.
I like diverting to that a little bit. I think I haven't read. That's the thing. I haven't read Aftermath. I will admit to that, but it's
Mid.
I think it must be. Again, regardless of novel quality, I'm just gonna say that to have like the events from a novel like pretty clearly translated on screen must have been crazy for the people who were big fans of the Aftermath trilogy. And I can only imagine how that felt for them. And it's like, it's another version of having Luke and Ahsoka together. We never thought we were going to get that so soon. I thought we were going to get it in a few years, maybe with the Ahsoka show. That'd be cool, but no, not in the Book of Boba Fett. The only reason I'll leave is to get something. So I'm wondering what it is.
It's just a phone charger.
Okay.
And
I thought you were like bringing your copy of Aftermath or something.
He's got Cobb Vanth.
And I know we've been talking about Cobb Vanth, and I'm so sorry to get horny on Maine, but like,
Please.
I have a Cobb shirt in my
The
closet.
floor is yours.
When have you
Thank
ever
you.
been sorry for that? Don't
no,
lie.
I've not
And
even
also,
once.
yeah.
Not even one time. But I love Cobb Vanth in this, but I also because it is the Book of Boba Fett. I do want to talk about Tamora Morrison because I think this show works for me so much because you get to see him and he humanizes the character because for the entirety of my there he is.
Shoot, I didn't know these were all so bad. Okay.
There he is.
We're sorry, Eli. This isn't about you.
No. I don't know how this keeps. I don't know how this keeps freaking happening.
Eli, it's not your fault. But
for,
No,
for the entirety of my Star Wars fandom,
okay,
Boba
Jared,
Fett
we get it.
has been Boba Fett has been incredibly overrated, and I do not like him at all. But this show and his appearances in The Mandalorian make me feel with this character in a way that I didn't think was possible, and I think that it only is doing that because of Tamora Morrison. And the more I can see of Tamora, the more I'm gonna be happy. So that to me,
Jess, I think you're gonna have to
is a
go hide
highlight
now because
for the
look
show.
who's here.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh.
They have. Oh
Buddy's
no, wait.
here.
Okay, it's Jerry, so you're not gonna get as harsh a punishment.
Whoa.
So, if Scotty was here, dear God. But
gosh.
what was I gonna say about that? No, I'm totally with you about that, Bill. I was gonna say, before I remember when the rumors started about Boba Fett and the Mandalorian, I'm like, what would be great for Boba Fett and the Mandalorian? I want him to rocket out of that Sarlacc pit, and I want him to die in a stupider way because I hate him so much. And Mando made me go from that to, oh, I get why people like him. And then Boba Fett made me go from, I get why people like him to, is Boba Fett one of my favorite Star Wars characters now?
let me tell you my 180 on Boba Fett. I, in writing, as you could, the tweet is still there, said the only way, this is after Mando season 1, I said the only way I want Boba Fett in season 2 is if Din guns him down. And I had a Boba Fett hot toy figure, and I sold it just for money. And I regret it every day now because the way that they added pathos to this character, it was just like, it was second to none. I mean, the ending of episode 2 with the not exactly Haka, but Haka inspired Tusken dance is an all-time Star Wars moment. And that's Steph Green, right? Steph Green who directed that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just give her whatever she wants. That was one of the most phenomenally done Star Wars moments. And yeah, just to Bill's point, just to wrap it into what Bill said about Tem being the anchor, like I like that mythically, like you need like Luke's 19, Leia's 19, Anakin's 19 in Clones, Rey's 19, like Ezra's 14. Like it is about young people.
Eli's 19.
But you still not yet.
Well,
Still not even. He is an adult though. We would not come on a minor stream.
And that's not. I'm not the only one. If you're throwing one person, you're throwing two.
Yeah, look at Eli's getting all the flack, and I'm just
Yeah, he's just here
just dodging.
Just because
Dodging everything.
you've made the wise decision to like keep distance between us. Like when I see you, Jacob, it's an event. Like I have a direct line to Eli at all times. If I asked Eli to leave class, he would do it. He's a loyal soldier.
I'm not. Luckily,
He's our acolyte.
That's an accusation.
If I told Eli to drop out of college and help me with a harebrained scheme, he would. But yeah, I mean, so to see like Tem is over 60, Ming Na Wen is over 50, Pedro Pascal is over 45, I think. Like these are characters that are at a different kind of journey, and it's I already had a life, now what? You know, versus what do I make of my life is always going to be universal. You know, Amandla Stenberg, they're going to be the lead of Acolyte. I'm sure it'll be a dark take on what do I do with my life, but it's valuable too for older characters to still have room to grow. That's why I'm a Toy Story 4 defender. Like,
Same.
yeah,
Toy Story 4 is great.
Same.
Yeah, like you did right by Andy, but like, so the fuck what? Who are you? And that's the core of Boba Fett is he doesn't.
So
have
wait,
anything.
is the core of the acolyte gonna become a Sith and do crime? I feel like that's what it's gonna be.
It feels that way.
Yeah,
At least right now. But
become a Sith, do crime.
I remember that tweet that was like going at like Ray, but then also like Bo Peep was in that, and I was like, "What's Bo Peep got to do with
yeah.
this?"
Oh my god.
It's like that. It's like that 50
insecure
Cent
ass-
video. It's like
Oh,
fuck
yeah.
yeah,
Was it
fuck 50.
Fuck me? What fuck me
for?
What was it? It was that like dumb Mary Sue tweet.
it was like some
Yeah, something like that,
insecure,
yeah.
like incel dude with no respect for women who said that Peach in the Mario trailer having a spear and like an athletic suit was just Bo Peep and Ray again, and you know these are people who
I'm
don't
like,
understand story.
For me, it's like now that feels like ages ago. That probably was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, when you guys recorded last, which
Yeah.
was obviously a lifetime ago.
Before your triumphant return.
But
But when you're a child, 2 weeks is a long time.
That is very true.
and with Christmas coming up, Santa's coming, so like it's big stuff. It's big
Yeah.
stuff.
Absolutely.
Let's see. So, Bill, you kind of touched on Boba. I have a lot of stuff for my thing with Boba. But I want to talk about Boba, but I also want to like save a little bit because mine's not completely the same as yours. But I really do like. There's that line, and I remember this talking about this long time ago with the guys on the Bombad cast when I was on for one of those recaps. There's that line where Boba, we're seeing Boba's doing things different ways, and 88's hesitant to name Jabba in front of him. And Boba's like, no, you can, he's dead. He can't hurt you now. And I think there's some exchange like, I just didn't want you to feel insulted. Well, now I am insulted. It's just so, I really like the character journey that Tem portrays in Boba throughout this season. And I think there's a lot of really great highlights from it.
And I think Tamora Morrison will be the gift that keeps on giving in Star Wars shows, because you have not just like he can be Boba Fett, but he can also be, Rex. He can be Cody. And I think that allows him to do a lot of really cool, different things that we haven't seen from him yet.
I mean, his cameo in Obi-Wan was a huge applause moment in the room.
True, absolutely. That was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
That was absolutely a jaw-dropping moment when he appeared in Obi-Wan Kenobi for me. But then I remember how easy it must have been. Like they just finished filming. They just dragged him over the Skywalker Ranch for.
And it was the first time they had ever wore clone armor, because clone armor was impractical in the prequel trilogy.
that's also strange.
So it was like a really special, sort of cool moment.
They look good too.
That's hey,
Had to say it.
okay. Listen,
Did look
say
good.
it.
He looked
Say
good
it.
too.
I want to
Say it.
hear. I want to hear what Tori's moment is because I
Yeah.
just want to know how thirsty it's gonna be.
I don't want to see. It's actually not.
Yeah, because
I
there
thought
hasn't
for 5
been any
whole seconds
thirst.
about the Chrysanthemum shirtless fight, because
Oh,
I did
Boba
not.
Briefs.
That is not on my list.
Boba Briefs.
The Boba
Yeah.
briefs,
Boba
the
Brief-
robe,
and Boba
though.
robe,
The
yeah.
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
The
That's
robe
right.
was good.
I'm actually
Um,
curious, Tori. What's your moment?
So mine is, I was so nervous someone was gonna take it. We've talked about Din most of the time, so I'm so happy. My favorite is, I guess it's kind of two moments together, but I think it flows nicely into one thing. For me, it is his kind of like Tuscan like dressing ceremony, and then his making of his staff. That is my favorite thing in the whole season. Rancor is a very close second, but for me, I think it's a bunch of things at once. I think through Star Wars, through Padme, as funny as it is, yes, I'm bringing her up, but like I feel like I learned that like the way that you present yourself to the world like can be important, and it just seems so impactful. Him finally donning the same, clothing that they wear. The way that it was shot, so intentional, the close-ups of like the hands and wrapping them and all of that, like it's just so beautiful. Additionally, like I'll be the first to admit it, I had like Tatooine fatigue going into this. Like I was like, oh, we're Tatooine again. Like I get it. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense for the story, but I enjoyed seeing this Tatooine with the Tuscans. I enjoyed seeing all their little small customs and things like that. Like that, I think was really special. And then I also just really enjoy like the Star Warsification of things, I guess. Like
That's a
like
fun word.
the clothing, seeing the armor doing like Star Wars blacksmithing was like so exciting to me. So to see kind of like Star Wars woodworking, very, very neat. And to see that like these staffs that they've had that we've seen since the 70s, that we had no idea what they were about. It's not like they went to the store and bought them. Like it's a special ceremonial, like important part of the journey thing. So
Yeah, I one of the things I really like about the Book of Boba Fett for me is how it retroactively ties into the Mandalorian, because like all that stuff was done originally for the Mandalorian, and I love how they kept it so consistent. Where like we saw one of my favorite examples. We saw the spikes being put up with the stormtrooper helmets on them when Boba's walking into town. But the other one, as you mentioned, Tori, was I remember there were a few people who was like, is that just a random clone or is that Boba Fett? Like people weren't even sure that was him because he looked so dramatically different, and I like I like that idea just because he really did change as a person from falling into the Sarlacc pit to when we see him in The Mandalorian and later the Book of Boba Fett.
yes,
Yeah.
and it's physically transformative, obviously, but I think it's also obviously also indicative of like inwardly very transformative for him. He's a part of something. As Alden said earlier, I think one of my favorite things about Boba Fett, it has always been that he's within and he's without. He belongs to a bunch of different categories, but he also doesn't really belong to any of those categories at the same time. And so I think this was like coming across these people that don't know anything about him and just having a community with it. So
Yep. And you got more, Tor?
oh, I was just gonna say it's just nice hearing like Bill was saying, like it's nice to hear like I've always loved Boba Fett since I was a child, and there was nothing to know about him. No.
Sorry.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely felt like an a-hole for a large part of my life because I feel like everyone's like, oh, he's the worst, and I'm like, but I love him. But it's really, really cool to see that like it's the power of storytelling. It's the power of cinema, right? Like it's cool to see. I've seen so many people do a complete 180 on this character. Like people did not care about him at all. They didn't like him. They didn't want anything to do with him. And yes, it's totally because of tomorrow, like for sure. And it's just really cool to see that. And it was so neat at the time when this all came out to experience people saying, "Can't believe I love Boba Fett now," and me being like, "Yes, we all love Boba Fett. Good."
The way Tori feels about Boba Fett is the way that Bill and I feel about Rio Durant.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Once
Every
Rio
single
Durant
day.
gets his own
Wake up
story.
every
I love
Saturday.
Rio. Wait, are there Rio?
Cutouts.
Is there Rio hate? Because I'm with you guys. I love Rio.
If there is Rio hate,
I don't know
we
if there's hate,
him.
but I don't know if there's love like we have. Like we're friggin' number one. Fam.
Rio
Immediately.
indifference is as bad as Rio hate because he's that good.
It's true.
Ooh,
He's
wow.
that good.
He's so good.
He's John Favreau's first foray into Star Wars, technically.
Rio,
Second.
no, previous
Second.
one.
Oh, Free Vizsla, yeah.
And you call yourself a trivia.
I was gonna say
You
that
mean
was
fucking-
an epic
You
brain fart on
bastard.
my part. That was an epic brain fart on my part.
That's okay. We forgive you.
Thanks. But what was I gonna say about that? Anyone have anything else about I guess Boba's transformation, Boba's journey?
Yeah, I mean, Tori said it so beautifully in terms of the Star Warsification of trades and how we are slowly but surely like getting everything in there, you know, and sometimes they land in ways that take a little bit. Like it took 20 years for people to appreciate the Star Warsification of a diner. But the Star Warsification of blacksmithing and of other trades feels very natural. And I think people immediately grasped onto the gaffy. I mean, it put the same story importance on the forging and honing and polishing of a gaffy stick as the construction of a lightsaber. And we talked about this the other day, you know, off air. It's like Cad Bane's right. He is the better shot, definitively. But Boba Fett doesn't kill him with gunfire. He kills him with his new self. Because the battle between Cad Bane and when you the lizard, the peyote lizard up the nose vision quest, and the forging of the gappy stick and the getting dressed, and then the showdown with Cad Bane is all finding your feet after you've been reborn. Like when he comes out of the Sarlacc pit, like that's rebirth imagery. Even down to when he has his vision quest, there's like the burst. I mean, this is just like being in high school English again, but like there's the burst of the Camino water and everything, and it's the last time that you see this, and like that's all rebirth imagery. It's like Jon Snow at the Battle of the Bastards when he's being circled in, and then he comes up for air, and he's back. And Boba Fett goes through these changes, and I have liked to see like Tusken Hunter, who's like ambiguous whether or not she survived or not, show up in the final battle. Like, of course. But him sweeping Cad's leg and just putting him down with his people that he chose is really powerful, because Cad is that person that says like, no, you can't change. He's a gaslighter. Like he's like the surrogate father who's a piece of shit in place of Jango, and he's not wrong. But like you said, Eli, like when he says like but I have armor, it's like he's not talking about a suit. You know, he's talking about everything else.
Everything, yeah. He's built around him. Let's see. Anyone? Actually, I think we should. Yeah, Alden, do you want to reveal your favorite moment?
Yeah, I'm glad it hasn't come up at all in any capacity whatsoever. Trey, I'm gonna need your assistance on this one. Trey, what kind of woman am I attracted to?
Oh, okay.
Moto?
No, what kind of woman am I attracted to that you said I should put it on
a
my
hex girl, possibly.
yeah. Let's talk about Drash.
I was wondering when people were going to bring up the mods. I was wondering.
There we go.
What's the name of the girl from Danny Phantom? Like that feels like.
Oh, Sam.
Yeah, that's Sam. That's the Alden type.
Yeah, I
Hex
did.
Girl was good though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Trey hit me with that the other day, Tori. Trey, because I sent Trey it's not important who or what, but it was somebody that did an art piece for me one time who I think is lovely aesthetically, and Trey was like,
way to say it.
Trey was like, you should just put this on your Hinge profile, and it was a picture of the Hex Girls. If you look like this, contact me. But yeah, I remember distinctly, and Tori, you might have been the first person I texted. I can't remember, but she's not in the trailer. She was in a spot, and it's the shot of her coming up on.
I
her bike
remember that
and
day
hitting the side.
vividly.
Yeah, and I
Everyone
remember
lost it.
the whole internet
Sleeping
blew
her
We
up.
hair
were all like,
in the wind.
"Wait,
Who's
who
this
is that?"
goth? Who's the goth woman in Boba Fett? Like it was just, it was
Who's the
crazy.
goth woman in Boba
And-
Who's this goth queen, please?
Yeah, like goth girlfriend just showing up
Yes.
out of nowhere with no context. We didn't know Sophie Thatcher at the time. She got big at the same time because of Yellow Jackets, which I haven't watched still. But I will say, on a thirsty level, my preferred method of death would be to be cut down by her cheekbones. And then I think that character, the mods in general, like Drash has a focal point that I'm getting to, but the mods in general, I think, were one of the most unfairly lambasted things in the history of Star Wars, because it showed to me, like, not like in a like us on this stream, like we're so smart, although we are. It was just like when people are like, that's not Star Wars. I was like, I'm sorry, because I grew up with Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, literally being like, I had to find the right one, master. This yellow American graffiti convertible, like it was absolutely Star Wars. And for people to say it didn't fit Tatooine, it's like, well, when Luke was young on Tatooine, maybe not, but this is post-war. It's a new government. It's a new galaxy, and punk is only relative to the society that you're being a punk in. On Coruscant, maybe a punk does dress in browns and is dirty and muddy. On Tatooine, what is counterculture? It would be shiny, color, pop, sex, like, you know,
pop, shiny color, pop, sex, exactly.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's
That's my new bio.
Bunch of birds.
absolutely. And also, like, to go off your point, Alden, one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a Star Wars show ever is the little spin that what's his face does.
Oh, Scad?
Yeah,
Hell yeah!
Spin.
That
The fact that the spin was a
The
controversy.
spin heard around the world.
Yeah,
Listen,
the
I'm
spin
so
being a
sorry.
controversy makes absolutely literally no sense.
I'll try spinning. That's a good trick. That's literally
Once
a
again,
line
the
from
chosen
my
one.
business. I don't care. You're wrong if you
Oh
don't
my-
think that fits in Star Wars. You're wrong.
I just rewatched Return of the King the other day. I know it's a different franchise, but everybody loves the dramatic, like, for Frodo. Need I remind everyone that Aragorn, son of Arathorn, spins the second after he says he runs, the hobbits run, and Aragorn swings and does a scad spin before he slices people. But no
'Cause
one
he's the
gave a
king.
shit
He's the
because
king.
we had Twitter back then. And yeah, it was the ultimate. That was the ultimate, like, internet shows their ass because they don't understand, like, what's actually happening, and they need something to harp on.
I still get mad about it. Just
And
because,
it was
like,
Robert
to your
Spy
point.
Kids Rodriguez.
Well, exactly. It's literally, if you look up the Spy Kids like 3D vehicles, like come on, it's Spy Kids 3D. But which we love here. But like, to your point, like, okay, so obviously that's very punk or whatever. But also, like, are there aesthetic police on Tatooine? Like, I'm flying into Tatooine, they're like, sorry, your vehicle's too shiny. Can you turn around?
Yeah.
Can you leave?
Yeah, and it doesn't, and it's cool to see, like, if we're gonna, like, Star Wars gets accused a lot of, like, oh, they're doing the same things, but then whenever it does a different thing, people are like, but not like that. It's like it has to try things, and sometimes those things are gonna be weird. Like, what if there was a mod parlor that was doing this, and we see these people? And what I like, and the ultimate point I'm making about Drash, outside of the fact that she's a queen, and that shot of when they're chasing the Major Domo, and you get that shot of Drash and she looks down, that I've gazed lovingly at that shot for many a minute. But it all builds to when they know that they're fucked, and Cad Bane is on the streets, and the Scorpionek droids are coming, and the Pikes are coming, and it's all going to shit, and Boba Fett is ready to go and hold up in the castle. And in the palace, and she says, we're not leaving, it has to be here. And I'm paraphrasing, but she's the one that reminds him, like, if you're gonna be of the people, it needs to happen on the streets. And she's the anchor of the class politics that are kind of happening, of, like, Jabba the Hutt never came down. the twins are literally carried through the streets, and she's saying like, if you really want to talk about it, be about it. And that then tying in with like what I've called the city girl meets country girl romance with her and Joe, which like it's only a romance because I want it to be, but like they don't like each other, but then they got each other's back and everything. And she's from Freetown and she's like all cyberpunky and stuff. Like that's the essence of what Star Wars is. That's why I loved in Andor the two glup shittos that are like, oh, well, Empire, toozy, wall, like
the captor Cassian and Melshi.
Yeah, because they got fucked by the Empire too, and that's all we need to be the same. Is that you know, we're the downtrodden, and I think that Drash, you know, if somebody was like, here's $100 million, what would you do with it? I would give her own show like immediately.
By the way, just want to quickly do something very quickly because there's somebody on the stream who does not know what creatures. But interestingly enough, Jacob, did you know that in episode 12 of Andor, Palpatine actually comes in and like electrocutes everybody with Force lightning?
That's crazy. That's all I'm gonna say right now.
That's crazy if it happened. Absolutely.
I'm missing an inside joke.
Jacob hasn't seen all of Andor yet.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
So
Jacob,
I'm saying things that could or could not have happened. I'm just like,
it's been a long semester.
That's fair. Education is important.
Long semester. I'm
I'm
focusing on my education. I'm studying geology
happen.
so that I can create synthetic lightsaber crystals. Then look at you all. You guys are gonna be all worshiping me when I'm creating lightsaber crystals out here with real lightsaber.
Stuff could happen.
You guys.
Stuff could happen. But anyway.
And Jacob's not on Twitter, so he lives in peace.
I do live in peace. Yes. No, I actually, I feel like I was ahead of the game when I got off Twitter year and a half.
We're gonna put you
year and a half ago, and I was like, man, I'm not going back.
You're gonna put you and Claire Stribling and Chris Swift in a club, and you can hang out and that kind of stuff.
That's a sick club. I want to be there.
Well, it's a peaceful life.
Yeah, it is a peaceful life. But Jacob, actually, I'm gonna go to you now. What's your moment from Book of Boba Fett?
Ooh, okay. So both of my moments, my moment and my backup moment, got semi-overlapped with. So I'm gonna pick the one that is less overlapped. Boba Fett leading the attack on the Pike hover train in the tribes of Tatooine. That was my favorite moment. I think I love anytime Star Wars moves away from there being, good and bad species. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for that one.
At the end of episode 10, this actually happened, or not? Who knows?
I'm never gonna hear the end of this. I'm never gonna hear the end of this. Hey, I watched 2 episodes. Today. I'm on my way. I'm well on my way. I love anytime Star Wars moves away from there being good or bad species. I still am really stuck on how much stick Ithorians seem to get in Star Wars. I've never seen a cool Ithorian in Star Wars. It's high time we get one of those. But being able to see the other side.
Sorry, I'm trying to picture the image of what species you're talking about.
They've got the little computerized voice boxes,
the mare,
the hammerhead,
and the
not what I was thinking.
They look kind of like Bill.
Yeah. I think they're sick. I would love to see like a badass Ithorian Jedi, like in Clone Wars, the 2003 Clone Wars. You get an Ithorian Jedi for a few minutes. That's pretty cool. But obviously being able to see the Tusken situation from the other side, is something that I really appreciated. Also, like we were talking about, as kind of this moment as a culmination almost. Or at least a big moment in Boba Fett's rebirth, as you guys were talking about, where he all his life, he was a mercenary. He was behind his armor. He was always thinking about what was good for him, what was going to get him the paycheck, and now he's out here with this community that he just met, choosing to put himself on the line, not for personal benefit, but to protect this community from harm. I think is a really amazing moment. to see how he kind of flips.
I was gonna say, shout out to our good friend Thobor Sheems. For those of you not watching English, I almost
Ionized
said
bastards.
Ionized Bastards.
know.
I almost said Inglorious. But
Plug for Michael McCoy's channel, All Remaining Systems. We do a Star Wars RPG show there, and my character's Thobor Sheems is an Athorian lawyer, who is a scumbag lawyer inspired by Saul Goodman.
my favorite moment from that, and I haven't gotten through all of it yet, but my favorite moment, I think Connor posted a clip of it the other day, was when you did the Star Killer joke. I freaking lost it.
Thobor is also not as bad as Deadpool, but he's kind of aware that he's in Star Wars, at least a little bit. At least a little bit. Yes. Continue.
I guess winds our way back to me. I think I was gonna go with mine. For me, this one. So Jacob and I don't get the opportunity, just because of our schedules, sometimes to watch Star Wars together. One exception, though, we did watch remotely together the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett nearly a year ago. And I'm going to say that entire first episode, I think, is just incredible. But I'm specifically talking about the flashbacks. As I mentioned before, I don't think I would have thought I would have cared about how Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Like, that was just something I never cared about. And what happened to him after that. But seeing his journey specifically in that episode, and seeing, like, I remember specifically after he takes out that crazy, like, 6-armed creature, and he gets given the water by the Tusken chief. Like, that felt like such a real and tangible accomplishment by the end of that episode. And he takes the sip, and of course, then we hear, "Hey!" and then it leads into the credits. It's one of those. It was one of the most victorious moments in recent Star Wars for me, and I think that a lot of, like, kind of Boba reduced to his worst. You know, he was like the top assassin for the biggest and baddest crime lord in the galaxy. And now he's being dragged along in chains by Tusken Raiders. And I think the stripping down of him, the absolutely, he gets emotionally and physically just absolutely incredibly bruised. And the building back up, I think, is incredible. And that's for me one of the things about Stranger in the Strangeland, is it just gets that down to that raw element.
These, just because you said it, this show also has definitively, without question, the best episode titles of any Star Wars show.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They're so just like
the streets of Mos Espa, the tribes of Tatooine,
the Gathering Storm,
Stranger
in the Name of Honor. I mean, that's one of the best, to bring when Din and Boba are together again. The fact that, I mean, I just love the, like, tell him it's on the house because he helped save Grogu, and, like, they have this, like, scratch my back, like, brotherhood now.
Besties.
Yeah, and when he gives them the I forget, again, I'm paraphrasing, I haven't watched it in a while, but that we'll fight until we die. And Boba Fett's like, you really believe in that bantha fodder? And Din's like, I do. And Boba's like, good. Like, and he's like, and he gives him that, like, gun up, and he's like, this is the way. Because at that point, he doesn't know his son's coming back. Like, this is Din, like, having resigned himself a little bit to, I glimpsed my son, but, like, I might die here now with a friend. There's honor in that, but it's a complicated thing. And the reason why I love these two guys together, and the irony of Din Djarin only exists because Jon Favreau couldn't have Boba Fett at the time, is so serendipitous, because they tell one story. And when you go to chapter 3, the sin of Mando, my favorite line possibly in the entire show is when he tells the armorer, my armor's lost its integrity, I may need to begin again. And then that's obviously metaphorical, and he gets the Beskar, but it's like, who are you as a man? And then what is Boba Fett doing every night? He's actually trying to get his flesh to regain its integrity. And but Fennec says one of Tori's favorite lines I remember from when we covered it, like, what about the scars on the inside? Because she gets
I'm
it.
still waiting. Book of Boba Fett season 2.
She's been around. Book of Boba Fett season 2 for that, and for the fact that Fennec killed Don Wee, which is a conversation they need to have.
I know. Oh,
I just tied those two
not
together.
Don't ever want to be that guy or nitpicky, but it drove me a little wild that
They never talked about it.
zero conversation between Cad Bane and Fennec. Not even like a wink or like a nothing.
Oh yeah, that's true. There should have been like a hat tip or something, just like a little.
It would have been honestly so funny and so petty of him to be like, "Hey, you should tell your mans about Don Wee." Just like he just shows up. He's like, "Hey."
I love the idea of it being worded like that, though. Like
Same, absolutely.
drama queen Cad Bane.
And now I'm just
Tell your
thinking
man
about like
about
why is it always Fennec Shan getting in between me and a clone of Jango Fett? Why is this always happening?
Truly.
I can't blame her. I'm gonna be honest.
Hey yo.
Oh,
Hey, yo.
Hey yo.
I love a Fennec moment with the mods when she saves them. Like the mods are cornered and Fennec just murks all these guys and Drash says thank you and she's like, respect. I don't like it. Like Wen has like a swashbuckly, like, I mean she's fucking Mulan, like of course she does, but like she has like she just has like Fennec is like very silently, she's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody who economical, I guess is the right word. Like she doesn't monologue and she doesn't have like a lot of long conversations, but her lines are so well placed and like Ming-Na can make like any beat work. Like her attitude of the entire show is sort of like he said he didn't want Pickle's wife, but like she's like, oh, I'll fucking kill him. Like she just has like this energy of loyalty and the stuff with them in the Gathering Storm. Is it Gathering Storm? I believe it is, right?
Yeah. That's my only gripe with an episode title is that Gathering Storm and
it was too close to Rising Storm.
Properties fall into this, and it's a nitpick of mine, which is Star Wars properties that are named too similarly to each other. Yeah. Like there's an episode of Clone Wars called A Test of Courage, and then the book A Test of Strength. Yeah. And I'm 90% sure I got those in the right order, but like I'm not entirely sure because they're so similar.
I think you did. Yeah, I think you did. But yeah, the whole relationship with them saving each other, like he passes what he learned. You know, the Tusken saved him and he saves her, and then together they save Grogu. It's just people looking out for each other. So when people like try to criticize it as goofy when the show ends with like them all standing around together like in the street, it's like, well, yeah, like that. The Power Rangers is not a fucking insult. Yeah, like that's like it is that. Sorry that Star Wars is about friends. It's kind of always been.
It's about family. Fast and Furious.
And I feel like I would be
Vin Diesel in space.
I feel like, I mean, they did have like one character that was named like Han Solo, spelled a different way, I think, right? That was Fast and Furious. And it was played actually by somebody who has now been in Star Wars, right? Yeah. Because
Alden Ehrenreich.
No, I think it was
good point.
I think in Fast and Furious it was played by Sung Kang, who later went on to play Fifth Brother.
Oh, you were talking about Han Solo in Fast. I thought you were making a joke about Han Solo just being a good friend. No, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
But
you're right.
Actually, I want to bring up a few things. And again, we're only so many people. We can only cover a few things. But I have a few images here. Hopefully, they're not the worst thing in the world.
I apologize for my reaction to Eli.
But there are two of them I want to.
It's not your fault that whatever your computer is doing is compressing these images into like 240p. It's not
anyway.
It's like
I can tell what that was.
So I feel like I gotta bring up this guy. I remember when he came on screen. I just want to say this. I remember when he came on screen. I'm like, did they just bring Black Chrysanthemum into live action just like that?
They did it.
And then some Disney executive very wisely was like, let's drop the first part of his name.
Yeah.
Like
I'm surprised they didn't do it before then, honestly.
that might fly in comic books, but we should probably not have
Oh,
children
yeah.
running around
Screaming.
calling anybody, a color
Yeah.
as their first thing.
Yeah,
So,
no, absolutely. I think it's a wise move, but like seeing him, but then having Ming-Na Wen say Kersen in the next episode, I'm like,
mhm.
oh, they're going in on this.
And then Santo, like the fact that they like without saying that they have a history. And that's another thing, like Tori brought up, like Fennec and Cad, like some people were like, well, it should be brought up that Chrysanthemum not only has Boba Fett history, but he has like 1v1 to Obi-Wan Kenobi on this planet. Like he should be a known quantity. I understand that, but there's enough for me to buy that he's been around. Like especially the oh my god, we haven't mentioned Madame Garça once.
I was just gonna say, I was like, we cannot
man.
talk about Chrysanthemum without that fabulous,
That speech,
like trying to talk him down.
Yeah, my
speech is
favorite part
incredible.
of the speech is incredible, and then Chrysanthemum is just like, LOL, no. After that.
Yeah. Just rips Chrysanthemum being drunk, watching Trandoshans just exist at the bar is one of the most spiteful, like petty ass moves I've ever seen. Just pounding drinks. It's great. But I love the Garza speech because she's explaining the show. Like she's talking about being made one way and having one life and how you can make a different path, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like, yeah, Chrysanthemum doesn't because he's Chrysanthemum, but that's why I like that Boba says like it was worth a shot because it's resonating with him. And Jennifer Beals is great. For more on that, visit Trey's TikTok.
I literally was like, I just remembered a TikTok of his.
No comment.
I remember the TikTok.
How do you remember?
I think I sent it to Tori after you did it.
I'm not currently remembering
My
the TikTok
girlfriend's
right,
right
now,
here.
so now I'm going to like. Yeah. Okay. This is gonna be something. And then.
Oh no! Here we go.
Okay.
Is
The
it on
other.
screen?
The other one I just wanted to quickly throw up, and I promise this is gonna be the last image. Is and I think this is a slept-on moment. Not that I'm saying any of you have slept on it, but I think just generally, it's this moment. It's
Yes.
him exacting his
vengeance.
revenge.
By the way, when that moment gets parodied,
Look
in
at
Lego
Bill's face
Summer,
right
Why?
Into the pixels.
You're making me laugh.
you just got a funny face. You got one of them faces.
They call it Geek Squad or something, Eli.
Yeah, his character.
Eli out there on a word processor. It's so good.
Copied and pasted
Look, this is
it
library
and-
Wi-Fi. Okay, we do what we can.
Library
But the thing
Wi-Fi.
is,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi just makes it slower. I don't know.
That was
We'll figure it out. We'll
That
have
was a
to-
joke.
I'm intrigued.
But yeah, the vengeance moment, Eli, that you brought up is great. I mean, it's that again, much like Boba Fett, that ship is always a ship that I liked aesthetically.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mando season 2 lets you see what it is like inside functionally,
Exactly,
like how it turns around the room,
Very
which is
cool.
great, gorgeous, really cool set design, production design, and then just to show it, I'm not anti Nikto, but like they ate it that day. That was a huge Nikto L. They were framed, which makes it even funnier. In retrospect, like, yeah, they suck, but they didn't do it. Cad Bane did it, as we find out. And it's just which Fennec even, it was great foreshadowing of Fennec being like, Nikto speed bikers took out an entire Tusken tribe, like unlikely, which should have been the tell that some shit was up. But
Yeah.
She's never been wrong ever, so that's
she's
true.
Nope.
never been wrong. But yeah, shout out to Lego Summer Vacation, because when the fire spray shows up and the Boba Fett theme kicks in a Lego special, it was one of the funniest fucking moments.
Typist.
I was dying.
I need to rewatch that one of these days. It's the one I mean, obviously because it came out the most recent, but it's the one I remember at least. think with that, I think we're going to transition into our next segment. I think Jacob actually also has to go, right?
Yeah. I do unfortunately have a hard stop, but Jacob, you can. Thanks for joining us on this. We'll see you for the next episode. But before we get to that next segment, I would like to have a word for from our sponsors. Okay. Here we go. Word from our sponsors.
Buffalo Wild Wings has deals on deals on deals. Like buy one, get one half off Wing Tuesdays, buy one, get one free boneless Thursdays, and $3 Tall House beers every day. With all these deals, it's a win-win. Only at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Was that a snazzy transition? Yes, but
that will never not be funny. I brought this up. Eli, we talked about this the other night. The edit that puts the audio into the broadcast
into
from
the
Rebels.
Call. Yeah, I was talking to Jacob about that.
Oh yes.
We had deals on deals, man.
Well, what kills me is that if you've met Taylor at a celebration or anything, he's very sweet and he sounds like that, but he does. It's not exact. Which tells me either A, he showed up for that recording and said, I'm just going to do an Ezra. Or B, some Buffalo Wild Wings marketing executive is a Rebels fan and was like, can you give us an Ezra? Because it is exact.
It is exact. It's one of those things, if you close your eyes, you can hear that.
You don't even need to close your eyes. Like it's
just
Ezra. Really just looking at the pictures is the like the pictures that they've edited.
I found out literally this is neither here nor there. It's just about voice actors, but we brought up 9/11 on this stream, so I feel like everything is fair game. I found out the other day that the first radio station I worked for, and I'm still friends with a lot of that crew, won an award, and I was like, oh sweet, my old team won an award. That's awesome. And I looked at the list of names, and the last name on the list was Vanessa Marshall. And I was like, that can't be the same Vanessa Marshall. And so I hit up a coworker of mine from back then, and I was like, hey, who's Vanessa Marshall on your team? She's like, oh, she's doing the voice imaging for the station. Like when you hear a radio station, just be like, 103 point, what, all those interchange things. Mm-hmm. And sure as shit, it's Vanessa Marshall.
Vanessa Marshall did.
They sound like Hera, but a little edgier because it's a rock station. Yeah, it's great.
Hera gone punk. But now it's time. We like to do this. We're gonna try and add this for our streams, just in general, because we don't do them that often, and because we haven't done this in a while. But 6 degrees of Star Wars.
Okay.
I was thinking we would do like podcast versus podcast, maybe. So Trey, Justin, Bill, and Alden, Tori. And I don't have the answers for these. Like I didn't think about like these.
Oh,
so
good.
Like, they
so
could
we're gonna weigh this. You're gonna weigh it like a lawyer, just like in the moment.
It's gonna be whoever has the least. But like
okay.
Or like who can ever do theirs with the least. I guess I'll go back and forth. So this first one. We'll start.
Wait, hold on. Can I ask a question? Can I be annoying?
Yeah.
Better than anyone I know.
Are we gonna?
That's a Golden Girls joke.
No. You're talking to one of the only people that clocked it as a Golden Girls joke. As a Golden Girls fan. All right. Yes. So you're gonna throw one out to the team. So then, like, if you throw one at me and Tori and I can discuss it before we submit. Like, how does this work?
Yeah. How is I gonna do this?
Because like we need to deliberate on our connections.
Yeah.
Like,
that's let's see. Maybe. I think.
Should we all just do it together as a team, non-competitively?
Jess being the only person here who's actively competed in a legitimate trivia show wants to not compete. She's showing mercy on us.
Jess,
I'm retired.
Like the energy from like that girl from Mean Girls, who's like, I wish we could all just get along and just have butterflies.
Yeah, I guess. Here's what I'll do. Maybe
didn't even go here.
Maybe one representative one person from the team can try and like figure it out.
We could final answer it. Talk about it and then be like final answer. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that'd be good. I think the first one. Wait, where's Trey? I was gonna start with them, but Yeah, I think I'll start with you guys, and then Trey can join in.
There he is.
Um,
Back. You scared me
Okay.
with Star Wars trivia, Eli.
No, this is better. This is less scary. Okay, the first character on your guys' Trey, Jess, and Bill is the
We're gonna have to
invisible
go
hand. No,
kinda
I'm
soon,
joking.
so.
Yeah. Well, the two characters I have for the first one are Luthen Rail and Grand Admiral Thrawn.
So we have to do 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon from Luthen to Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yes.
Okay. So that's kind of easy, isn't it? Like it's just from like Luthen to Mon Mothma to Hera to Thrawn, right?
Yeah, or Ezra to Thrawn.
Yeah, Ezra to Thrawn. Like that's kind of easy, isn't it? Or am I just being really, really?
Well, the trick is not to pipe in from the other side and help you, but the trick is can you get less than that?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good point. That's a good point.
I'm not saying either way because you went to the same place I went to, but
What about like, what's his face? I'm bad with names.
Good point.
But his like mole to the guy, is that still the same number?
I don't think because let's see. So we have Luthen to
Mon Mothma.
Mon Mothma to
Hera.
Ezra.
I was thinking Hera.
But it doesn't matter.
Same number.
It's the same amount. It's the same number, and
No,
so
'cause
that's
it'd be one like it'd be Hera to Thrawn, right? Like,
how is that any different from Ezra to Thrawn?
I mean, but like I don't know.
It's the
Like
same.
It's the exact same. It's
just number of connections, not
yeah.
quality.
It's the
of
number
connection.
of things. It's like the steps. So that's 4. I don't know if we can get it
Mhm.
earlier than 4.
let's
but
see. So Luthen. Oh fuck, man.
I don't know who Thrawn has interacted with a lot.
It's just
There's
Vader.
another one that is 4 that I'll say after you submit, but I don't think you can do better than 4.
4 is Let's just cap it at
Yeah.
4.
No.
Yeah. Or I would even go with I even say that's 3 because I'd count like the number of connections, not the number of characters.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha,
okay.
gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
Then,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
final answer then.
Okay. I'm not sure. Alden, you hinted that you couldn't think of anything else.
Well, mine was going to be Luthen to Lonnie, Lonnie to Yularen, Yularen to Thrawn.
Mm.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I was thinking. I
It's
just didn't know their
ISB.
names.
Yeah.
It's still the same
Yeah.
amount of steps.
But it's the same amount of steps. It's just
Yeah.
getting there through the dark side. It just depends. But I don't think there's a tighter one.
Yeah, I was
Because
gonna say.
Saw Gerrera and Thrawn don't ever face off.
Yeah, that's the annoying one, and
That we know
we
of,
don't ever
but-
see Mon and Thrawn in the same room.
We
Come on,
don't.
Thrawn.
You would think we did. You would think we would, but we don't.
Yeah. He's not involved in secret cargo.
Yeah. Actually, no, he is, but like he's not like they don't ever interact.
He's in the episode, but he doesn't have he's not part of the Mon plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Let's try this one. Alden and Tori. Here we go. So I wanted to do a Book of Boba Fett one. And I actually landed on this. Is funny. That's going to Alden and Tori. Drash and Savage Opress.
Drash and Savage is interesting. Okay. Let's think here. So
the Darksaber do something?
Drash directly meets Boba Fett and Fennec Shand and Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum is comic.
I think I've
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Like get it to Cat Bane or
no.
Okay, what's
going
yours?
through. Wait, oh, now I'm questioning myself.
No,
I'll just say
go
it.
ahead.
So I was thinking was
It's
I'm
not a
trying
final
to think.
answer.
It's been a
Yeah.
minute since I've read all of them.
Yeah.
I can't. Oh, because I'm like, are they just in the same story or do they meet? So my thought process was Drash to Boba, Boba to Kira, Kira to Maul, Maul to Savage.
That's not bad.
That might be as clean as it gets. Let me
Because she's met Boba, right? Like they actually interacted. They did.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
Drash
sure.
and Boba talk. Yeah.
No, I mean
no,
Kira.
Boba and
Kira and
Kira.
Boba.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
Boba
sounds
is
like-
It's been a
Boba's
minute
at
since I read
her
it.
he's there at the at the Crimson Dawn unveiling. He was
party.
he was invited.
The best party.
I mean, she stole
I think
she
there's one
stole
less.
the Han
Wait.
Carbonite from him. I think that counts as a connection. And the
I don't want to
He
help
was at the
you.
party.
Can
But,
I
like-
can I
I
help?
don't.
Okay,
I'm just kidding.
cool.
Go ahead.
Cool,
Please.
fine.
No,
All right,
please don't.
bye.
No, please.
let's see, Drash. There's something here that
Are you saying there's
There's a big
cleaner
one.
bill?
there's a big one.
There's a big one.
I'm actually
It's-
struggling with this.
It's a comic one.
It's
I don't think it's a
oh
comic.
yeah it's Drash to
Oh.
Chrysanthemum to Obi-Wan
Yes.
to Savage
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Oh yeah, why
yes.
didn't I think of that? Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
god.
what it is.
I
Oh,
can't
my
win a
face
trivia,
down.
bitch.
I literally brought up Chrysanthemum versus Obi and then forgot about it.
Yeah.
immediately.
I'm biased, so I'm gonna bring up Boba and Kira anytime. And Maul.
But
Yeah.
you're not. Yeah, it's just that was good
that's
because
really
I
good.
forgot about War of the Bounty Hunters. But that it's just one tighter. I was trying to think of a you got there in a tighter way, Trey. But I was also thinking Force using because I was like Drash to Boba, Boba to Luke, Luke to Anakin, Anakin to Savage. But that subtracts one.
Well,
so.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
was
okay,
thinking
so
myself.
can
I was
get-
thinking Boba and
What
Ahsoka in the
about-
Clone Wars.
Yeah, I was like Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's the
Boba
quickest.
Ahsoka clone. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think that the Obi Chrysanthemum one is probably the closest we'll get.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
So
it's
we're tied right now at 3 connections on each end.
This is a fun game.
Okay, yeah. No,
We have to go pretty soon. It's pretty late
yeah,
here on these.
absolutely, yeah. One
You're
more
such
for
an
each
old
team.
man.
Can we do that?
She works in schools, man. It's early morning.
Well, she has a real job. I forgot. We're goons.
I work for the government. That's a real job, but I
Is
don't.
it?
I'll do
Is
one
it?
more for each. I have one more for each, and then we'll get out of here. For Jess, Trey, and Bill, the next one I have Asajj Ventress,
Okay.
Moff Gideon.
Ooh. Ooh.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh, that's just
Oh, wait.
Asajj.
I just realized.
Doesn't Boba and Asajj do they interact? They're bounty hunters at some point, right? So that would be Asajj, Boba, Din, Moff Gideon.
Let's think about Bo-Katan. Are Asajj and Bo do they ever cross? I don't think
so. No. I think it's Asajj. What the fuck did I just say?
You said Asajj, Boba, Din,
Yeah, and then
Moff Gideon.
Moff, yeah, get Moff Gideon. So that's 2, 3.
Wait, say it again.
So it's from Asajj to Boba to Din to Moff Gideon.
Yeah, it's 3.
Yeah. So far, no one's been able to get tighter than 3.
Yeah.
Unless that's your. You guys didn't say final answer. Is that your final answer?
That's not. Hold on. Let's do.
and
It's just
even
Gideon hasn't interacted with that many characters. That's the that's the
True.
issue. But I
Yeah.
guess yeah. I
Hmm.
mean,
With
can I say,
Gideon,
like-
you really
can I
have
say
to play with like.
R2D2?
Gideon was in the same room as R2, but he was unconscious. So we'll have to throw that to the judges.
Yeah, like, what about
Because
Luke?
that would be a
that's
one.
an interesting case. That's an interesting case.
Gideon was in the same room as Luke, but Gideon was unconscious.
I don't think that counts. I don't
I think
they
R2 is
interact.
easier because R2 was in the Clone Wars though. Like
Gideon and Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan was in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
What do you, Trey? I trust your judgment. If you want to go, if you want to do the R2D2 route, I'm okay with that.
But was Asajj ever in the same room as R2? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
if
I think
that
so.
was when.
I think
When?
so. There are so many episodes of the Clone Wars, but they were definitely had
I know,
different
but I
things.
can't remember
when
a
was
specific
R2
incident.
in the same. I mean, I guess maybe in
R2
the
was in
movie?
the same room. Yeah, he was in the elevator shaft.
Yeah, he was in.
Basically.
Oh, he's always in the
Same
elevator
kind of
shaft.
room.
He's always there.
R2 was screaming, lighting some
Um,
battle droids on
yeah, I
fire.
mean-
Okay, is that your final?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly can't think of anything. Like, I have a slightly different path, but it's the same number of steps. So
What was
3.
yours?
mine was through Ahsoka, Ahsoka, Din, Gideon.
No,
Yeah.
it's-
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Man,
Three-
we can't
we'll go
get
with
a
3.
clean one,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this one might be the messiest one.
This is a fun game though.
This is
No,
Yeah.
it's really cool, and
We should play this over drinks off stream one time.
but Alden and Tori, I'm sorry, I'm throwing this one to you guys.
Okay.
But there's a reason behind this one.
Mm.
Kino Loy.
Okay.
And Katunko, great king of Toydaria.
Okay. So King Katunko has interacted with Yoda
Yes.
and Count Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
Kino Loy has Cassian and Melshi. So we have to start from Kino because he only has 2 established connections that go outward. So I feel like Melshi is harder to work with. So it's Kino to Cassian.
Mm-hmm.
Kino to Cassian. Cassian to... Oh, fuck me. I think I know what you're doing. You slick son of a bitch. I think...
I really just thought of this on the fly just to bring King Katunko into this.
Okay. So it's 6 degrees rules,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know how.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know
not
this
sure if
man.
this one can be done.
Less than
Over-
no, it can be done. It can be done.
It's gonna be like a wall
I
reference
apologize.
receipt. That's how
It-
long this is gonna be.
It can be done. So it's Kino Loy to Cassian Andor.
Oh yeah, I just
Yeah.
I know it.
I have a 5-way.
I
Cassian
know
Andor.
it.
enemy.
Kino Loy to Cassian Andor to Bail Organa
There
to
it
Yoda
is.
to Katunko.
There it is. No,
Yeah. Bail.
I don't think you
somewhere in
need
there,
Yoda. I don't think you need
Padme.
Yoda because he was in the same room as the king, right?
Oh wait, you don't.
Who was in the same room as the king?
Bail was in
Bail
the
and
same room as the
Katunko
king.
were in the same
Oh,
room.
they met in the later episode. That's right. So
In
it's
supply lines.
Kino Loy to Cassian.
Cassian.
We fucked the competition aspect.
It
of
doesn't matter.
It ends
We're
up
all
being a group
friends.
project
It
anyway.
doesn't
But
matter.
it was-
We did
so
good.
it's Kino Loy to Cassian Andor to Bail
Bail
Organa
Organa
to
the
Katunko.
king. There you go.
Damn.
That's good. That's good. I forgot that they were in the same room. And I forgot that
Damn.
Bale was also I forgot that not only is Bale on the list of people who've interacted with Kick and Tuko, also Jar Jar. 'cause
Also
he
Jar
was with-
Jar.
That's
they
Oh,
both.
that should have been. Yeah.
we should have used Jar Jar.
Yeah.
No, but as we wind down, one last thing we got to do is, of course, let our guests plug all the stuff. So, Trey, Justin, Bill, go ahead in any order. Where can we find all you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Jessica Schloth. That's about it for me.
Fantastic.
What about your letterboxed?
Oh yeah, I have to promote that now that we can't link it in our Twitter, right?
I think they
yeah.
removed that stuff.
I think they went back on it.
Who knows at this
What a
point?
clown.
Well, that's the same as my Twitter, I'm pretty sure.
Sick. You can find me on Twitter at the Traynator. I have a movie podcast I'm doing right now. 5280 Cinema is the Twitter handle. It's a weekly film podcast. I just did an episode that's releasing tomorrow about a 5-year retrospective about The Last Jedi. And then I have my personal Lord and Savior, Scotty J-Ro, coming on. We're going to record tomorrow about the movie Avatar Way of Water, and that's going to be fun. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, and then Bill and I also have a Star Wars podcast that we haven't done in a while, Skywalking Through the League. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that podcast on Twitter is at SkywalkingTL. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and if you like anything that I said, which I can't imagine that you would, you can find me.
I
at
liked what you said.
Jess,
I
you're
didn't.
you're the best. I swear to
Okay.
God, you've liked all my takes since I told you I liked The Rise of Skywalker more than Empire.
I found
Strikes Back.
I'm not going to show it because it's embarrassing,
That's
but I
the
found a picture of Jess reacting
controversial
to
tweet
Bill
of all
watching The Rise of Skywalker when they met for the first time. It's very funny. A lot of
So-
alcohol.
So much vodka. But you can follow me on Twitter at Star Wars Bill, and Eli, thank you so much for inviting me on with so many wonderful friends. And
And all
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Thank you.
I go ahead, Alden and Tori.
Tori.
All of them.
That was
Sorry.
me saying you could go first. But now that we've introduced ourselves to each other,
I'm just trying to make sure you know who you are. Anyway,
thanks.
you follow me at the Mandatorian on Twitter, Instagram, and then catch Mandatorian Creed on October Radio.
You can find me at that Alden Diaz, or don't. Twitter, Instagram, Hive, TikTok, even though I don't use it. Casterly Talk. That's me and Ken Knapsack covering all things Ice and Fire, Lord of the Rings. We're covering Willow right now. The Willow stuff is going great. We've got some wonderful guests coming up this week. Supposed to have Molly Damon coming on next week. We'll have Maggie Bacella, the senior editor over at Collider, who's wonderful. And then we're going to continue that. Best Maggie that works at Collider. And then we're going to have the what do you call it? What the fuck am I thinking about? Star Trek. That's the other thing that I do. Doing stuff for Star Trek and CBS. I did some stuff for Rotten Tomatoes recently. Just wherever. I just being a little thorn in the world's side.
That's definitely one way of describing it.
And also celebrating Hanukkah, the superior holiday.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that, but but I said it. Anyway, you can find all us at In the Galaxy Pod on Twitter, at Star Wars in the Galaxy on Instagram. You can listen to us Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. We will be there. This is our official return. We're still trying to map out some scheduling things, but we know of two things. We don't exactly know of their dates, but we can tell you two things. First one is we're going to be discussing pretty soon the 2-episode finale of The Bad Batch season 1 with our friends Boop and John from the Nerd Herder podcast. We're still trying to get that in the works, but that will be out sometime soon. And we have a special match for our next Epic Confrontations. We are going to record it very soon. Unfortunately, we had to postpone the grand entrance of a team with a guy below me right here, Big Chungus versus Bangers and Smash. But we have instead friends of the show, Chris Ryans and Brian Fennessy, facing off in Star Wars trivia against each other, and we're so excited for that match.
Listen, put me in, Coach. I'm ready to take down any fucker who wants to take me on. I don't give a fuck.
Where were you when I needed you as my teammate?
Being a huge fan of The Ringer, I just got very confused for a second.
I've got to tell you right now,
Bill. Bill, just wait for February. We got you.
Okay,
February match. There's a very eager Dark Jedi who's waiting in the wings.
Oh, he ain't eager. Well, he's eager for something, but
for buttermilk.
That's right.
Anyway, but thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always.